Welcome everyone to the training course on mastering cyber defense with Axiom XDR 360. Today we are going to cover session 4, which is about endpoint security. In the previous sessions, we covered a number of things, including the SIEM logging, Microsoft 365, uh, tenant, how we secure that, vulnerability assessment. But today focus is going to be the endpoint. I think we are halfway, and then we'll continue with the cloud security, and then the compliance reporting, and then MDR. So let's dive into this. I have Rama with me over here today. So if you have any questions, you can, during the presentation, you just put those in the Q&A. Yeah, so we are going to start with an overview of endpoint security. And then the three areas that we are going to focus on today are security configuration assessment, malware detection, and file integrity monitoring. They all form part of the endpoint security. Before we go into, I'm not using the term EDR, or I'm just saying endpoint security because these things can be confusing. And let's look at what are the different things that have been used in the past or used for endpoint protection. Right. So, yeah, we talked a lot about SASE and everything, like in the security world, like even from the 90s, there are three things we know: antivirus, VPN, and firewall, right? So antivirus is more about endpoint protection, and then the VPN and firewalls more about network security. That's what SASE, when we went through the SASE training courses, we covered that, like how now cloud delivered network security works. Like same thing needs to happen for the endpoint software. Like it's no longer just an isolated antivirus on the endpoints. It needs to be more cloud powered, powerful solution. And so this is a little bit the evolution of the endpoint protection. So traditional antivirus, they just work based on the signatures, the different files. Each file has a signature, and they just compare signatures. And there's a database of malicious files, for example, file hashes, which are signatures, and they were just comparing, like if this file is malicious or not, based on comparing that signature. And and I think if you don't know what the firewall signature is, I think I was trying to do some of the things over here. So let's see. I have a number of what is really a signature. Like let me just look at. I have, for example, this executable file, AnyDesk. I mean, I want to see its signature. So I can just say get file hash. So it is a uh, so this is the file signature. It's a hash. It's a, like, as you know, it's a SHA-256. That means it has 256 bits. This thing is 250 bits long, because since these are hex numbers, so there are 64 entries of or 32 bytes in that sense. This is the unique hash for this file. If we make any change in this file, the hash is going to change, right? And I have another hash we can look at. I just named it the Comprehensive Endpoint Security Shield. This is a Word document. Let's see, its hash is something like that, right? I think I wanted to make a change. Let me see if I can open that file in the download. What if I make a small change in the file? Like I say, this is not session 4, this is session 5, right? I made this change over here. I saved it. Let me just exit it. Let's see what happens to the hash now. You see, and it's not a little bit change. I just changed number 4 to 5, but now you see the hash is a completely different number. That's how this hash works. Like this is a unique signature. So because I want to know if it's a malicious file with the matching of the signature. But at the same time, later when we see file integrity monitoring and all that, so this is how you can detect even any small change in the files. So this is how the antivirus traditional based on those hash and signatures work. Then came a next generation antivirus. So they started looking at more things like anomaly detection, maybe even using some heuristics or AI, like making the antivirus more powerful. Like, and what type of things, for example, um, with the traditional antivirus, I can only look at the files, but there are these file-less attacks. File-less means your malware runs in the memory, like it's in the RAM. There is no file associated with that. So traditional antivirus will not be able to catch file-less attacks, but next generation antivirus can catch that. Then came in endpoint detection and response. This is not only, for example, the virus, but more like a cloud-based, like the monitoring. And if when any threat is detected on the endpoints, you take an action. I mean, remediate and remove that threat. But today we are this course is about XDR 360. Like the endpoint is just one module of that. Like it's part of the bigger picture. Right. We'll see how this will fit into that big picture. Like yeah, that's why I'm just calling it endpoint protection. But XDR is going to do pretty much all these three things. Like and even more. Like so this is the power of XDR 360 because it's not only will be looking at endpoint in isolation, it will have other data like your user data, identity data, your network data, and so on to find the malware and remove any threats. Yeah. Again, in the big picture of things, so this is our trusty architecture. So today we are more focusing on the endpoints, like, and I need an agent on the endpoint to do this, the antivirus or the EDR because I want all the telemetry and data from the endpoint and be able to take action on the endpoint. So I need a presence on the endpoint, like so, which is great. So that's how endpoint. Solutions complement SASE. But SASE will do more. It's a network based. The first thing is I may not be able to put a agent on everything. I have printers, voice over IP phones, IoT devices, security cameras, other sort of sensors. I cannot put an agent, no antivirus on those. This is how SASE is going to come in and complement those things. And similar like file-less attacks, like if it's a uh, attack coming from a malicious website, SASE is going to block that. So this is, and SASE is also going to generate its own telemetry that's going to help me to more effectively take care of the threats at the endpoints. So yeah, again, I mean, this big picture, I'm just putting that context in over here. And as we discussed, endpoint is just now one module of the XDR 360. XDR is looking at a lot more things, including the network, cloud, web, SaaS, even it's taking third-party data and all that. The whole vision of XDR is that it can do much better job at threat prevention because it has a now in a way global visibility, not limited to just the network or the endpoints. So yeah, endpoints is going to be an important component. So XDR is going to take all the telemetry from the endpoints. With the XDR 360, as we discussed on the previous sessions, the agent is the same. So it's the SASE, it's a unified SASE XDR agent. You don't need to put any other agent. Like so, XDR consolidates like a lot of the security controls from the threat prevention point of view, right? And so yeah, endpoint will just data will just come into XDR 360. And the other data, and the XDR can take action on the endpoint based on other sources as well, like not just the endpoint, like because maybe there's a file getting downloaded. At the same time, SASE detects that device posture is low. That means user is coming from a location that is not trusted or something, and it can block it. It has more evidence now that, okay, this file is really malicious because whole activity seems to be malicious, and it can block that. So the three topics that we are going to cover today, as pointed out earlier, are the security configuration assessment. So this is very important from compliance, and we are going to get into those CIS controls and what does this really mean. This is more about compliance. This is more about malware detection and removal, more like a traditional antivirus, but no more powered by the cloud now. Like so, you combine these different signals and make a decision that this file or this software is malicious, and then you take an action and remove that. And continuously file integrity monitoring, like you want to see like what is happening to the files if somebody is making changes to those files, like. And so this is also a very important component of endpoint protection. So they all complement each other, slightly different purpose. So these are the three things that we are going to cover today. With that one, we can dive into our dashboard. Again, as in the console, it's under XDR. I'm there on dashboard, and this is the global view. So this is a one workspace, test workspace, and this is where I mean, right now, I think there are about 10 agents, 6 are disconnected, 4 are connected. But the area we are going to focus on today is this section, endpoint security, the security configuration assessment, 3 areas, malware detection, and file integrity monitoring. Let's see at the, and we can start with the, so one of the thing when we were discussing these three things is you will see like I'm going to do some test on the Windows machine. I have Microsoft Defender. Microsoft Defender is going to act like more like antivirus. And then the Axioms, the XDR is going to come in as a XDR 360. It will take actions, whatever things Defender is going to miss, XDR is going to take care of those. Like if it misses some threat, then XDR 360 is going to remediate those threats. So let's add the Defender, like, and so of course you will get the full visibility and what Defender is doing. I think I have my Defender. If you just go to search for Windows security, and there you go to the virus and threat protection. So this is where your Defender thing is activated. Like I have real-time protection on right now. Like so. So what we can do is over here, I have a these test website, which have malware files. So we can try to download one file from here, and let's see what happens. So this is I think you may have heard about this is a icar.org. So they have put in a number of malicious files just for testing purposes, because these files so that you can test if how your software is working. Like I going to download a file, and let's see. Yeah, in this case, let me just check if Defender things was activated. Yeah, this time maybe I think the Defender. So I can show you what was happening in this case. We can go, for example, over here in the overview, maybe like a threat prevention. So these are the now my alerts over here. Let me go over here and let me go to the events. So these are the alerts like my XDR is 360 is getting. And as you can see, just this is my time, as you can see right now, about 10:45, this file where the Windows Defender blocked that file. Right? If you, I can open for more details over here or any of the things there. So we can go through those. So what is happening over here? So we can scroll down. It was a virus and a lot of other details and then where the file was getting downloaded on the local machine. This is a zip file and so on. And then the defender blocked it. The thing is, I have the logs. Even when defender is blocking it, yeah, as the antivirus, my XDR 360 knows about that. Like if, for example, I see this file anywhere else, now my XDR 360 already knows that one user tried to download it and was blocked, and then I can kind of proactively block access to those files if other users try to access those files as well. But what if we turn off the defender, so we can turn off the defender, and I think it should give me a warning that I've turned it off, and then try to download the file. What happens there, like in that case? So let's go again over here. Maybe we can try a different file right now, maybe this file. Yeah, so when Defender is going to miss that, then XDR 360, I think I got this earlier as well. At some point, Windows start um, uh, labeling this whole website as let's go back there. That website, okay, it came in. So let's maybe try to download the same file. Yeah, I have tried those earlier. I can show you the logs as well. When the Defender is turned off, like right now, you can see this file. It probably got deleted. Yeah, if we can now go back to the dashboards, we should be able to see this activity. I can remove this because that alert was over 12. So yeah. So you say, I mean, we are calling it SASE active response. Now you can see at 10:47 my time. Now I turned off Windows real-time protection. So Defender was not blocking the malicious file, but now the XDR 360 kicked in, right? And so this is just the local um, uh, if you like, a software that deletes malicious files, but it gets orders from the XDR 360 or the combined SASE XDR platform, and we can now go into the details and look at this. So you can see now due to different reasons you will see a similar download malware blacklist and all that, and the file was over here, and it got blocked. This is the program that acted. So this is the kind of XDR 360 part of the unified SASE XDR agent. That program acted and deleted this. So you can see, I mean, in a way, this layered protection, over here, when we look at the big picture, yeah, the endpoint, there may be something locally blocking it, but we still want to see the visibility, like we want to see what is going on. And when the endpoint fails, antivirus fails, and they fail somewhere maybe 90 to 95% of the time, they may miss 1 out of 10 threats, but then the XDR engine is going to kick in and going to block whatever endpoint is going to miss. And you saw the remediation path today. In both cases, it was automated. You saw the files getting deleted automatically, either by Defender or by XDR 360 engine. Okay, so I think we covered the malware first. Now let's cover the remaining things in the endpoint. So maybe best is to go to the overview and check over here. So we can go to security configuration assessment. over here. So what this really is, so this is my machine right now I'm on. So this is my machine. So this is kind of a security configuration assessment for this machine, right? And since it's a Windows 11 machine, what this is doing is these are CIS controls. You remember from the first session, those CIS controls when we talked about the SIEM and all that. So these are what those, it's comparing against those controls and giving me a score. Like in this case, yeah, intentionally, there are a lot of, there are about 400 things it is checking. I'm failing about 260. I'm passing 127. That's why my score is just one third. And I wanted to show you the type of things I'm failing at, right? But these are the standard controls. There's a document. This whole document, I think it has hundreds of pages, but each thing, those 400 things, each thing is like this. This is the first thing. Like, what is the first thing? So this is the CIS document I'm on. Is the ensure enforce password history is set to 24 or more passwords. Like so, this is you see, this is what the first control is over here. And you can read over here, but the good thing is actually our three, I can expand over here. I can read over here. I'm failing this thing. Like what this requirement is, what I'm failing it. The idea is password histories, the recommended CIS is set it to 24 or more passwords. Remember, every time you are asked to change a password, you cannot reuse the previous password. What it is saying is you cannot reuse the previous 24 passwords. Maybe on 25th, you can reuse that. Because the whole idea is if you're using just one or two passwords, and if they get leaked, and then the bad guys can have access to that. Like so this is what it is. I'm failing that test. Like so this is how the configuration assessment, how this is important for compliance, is that each of these 400 requirements will be compared, and if I'm failing that, I'll know that. Like now I know I need to fix that. Like in my policy, and it tells you how to fix that, like set the policy and everything around that. And then we can look, maybe check the second one. Uh, so maximum password age. So this is also how often you need to renew passwords. I mean, I'm just going to requirement 1 and 2. You can imagine these 400 requirements cover all different aspects of security a configuration. It's not just the passwords. It just happens to be the first two items are about passwords. So I'm passing that test. Yes, the set the fewer days, but not zero. Zero means the password never expires. So I think I have a password expiry set to less than a year. That is the recommended. So I have to renew the password. Right? So I'm passing that test over here. So, so this is the type of thing. Now I can go through all, you see, I mean, there are more and more things will be coming out, or we can randomly see on any, yeah, this is a network about network access, for example, like, and so you have a requirement covering pretty much every aspect of security. And if you have another device, we can maybe go to, uh, I can remove this device, and maybe if there is a Mac device. Let me see if my Mac is activated. So you see, for the Mac, there are less. Again, I mean, this is for 13 Ventura, but each Mac version, just like Windows 10, 11, and so on, has a CIS benchmark. This also has a benchmark. In this case, they are different, and the number is smaller. I think in this case, I'm passing more than 50%, but I know where I'm failing. Like I'm failing over here. Like patches need to be applied in a timely manner, right? And it is more like the install and updates from the app store. Maybe my setting is not set to correct. So I have a red on that. I have my score, like so. So you can see, I mean, similarly for Linux and everything. So So this is with the XDR 360 security configuration assessment that more important for not only for compliance, but also these are the best practices, like these are the security best practices as we are seeing, like how to enable patching, software updates, passwords, and so on, where the requirements. So this is part of the overall endpoint security, how you secure the endpoints. Let's go back and I think we can also look at uh, the file integrity monitoring. Like when if there is any change to the, yeah, of course I get these nice dashboards, but I'm more interested in what is happening. I can remove this, like I had pinned that. Let's unpin this. No, this is file integrity monitoring data for everything, like in my tenant. But I can go to a one endpoint and just focus on that. I can look at the overall data, file integrity monitoring. You can see now it covers MacBook and Windows and other devices. I have everything like over here. If any file is getting changed, let's look at not the inventory, but the events we can go to. So you will see every small change in the file, like even this. Oh, yeah, you saw like those files that got deleted due to Defender and Axiom deleting those files. They are also captured. Like file integrity monitoring is not just changes in the files, but it also when files get deleted and so on. And then you can see registry value entry deleted and a file added to the system when a file gets added to the system. I think this was that Word document that I was working on. Yeah. So you can see like, I mean, all this activity about the file integrity monitoring. So why this is important? Because like you don't sometimes like a familiar file can be changed to a malicious file. Like, and you just click on that because you know that file. Like, but this tells you everything and you track that. Also for compliance, everything is logged whenever there's a small change in your file and so on. And even though today we just focused on the endpoint security, but the data is the same. It appears everywhere. I think when we were looking at those alerts coming from Defender and others, they were coming over here. We were looking like under threat hunting because I want to now hunt the threat, like what was happening, like when these files getting blocked, but why they are getting blocked, like why because they were malicious files downloaded from a website. Like, of course, that was more a website for testing, but this might have been a legitimate a malicious website. Like, so we would have known about that.